everybody, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. Unfortunately, nothing is going on with any Blizzard games right now, so we'll see you next week. I kid. In case you don't know, first off, Liz and Joe, they are the two other co-hosts who make this podcast worth listening to. Hi, guys.
Don't you put that on me.
No.
I am putting it entirely on you. You are the entire reason, Joe. It's all on you. And at any moment, if you make the slightest mistake, it all comes crashing down.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
This is how
remember that time I lost an entire episode because all three of my recording stuff decided to, flake?
Yeah, I remember because you got in touch with me sounding like you were about to kill someone. And I was
and then we re-recorded an episode at 11 o'clock at night my time because we didn't have another option. Yeah, I remember no pressure or anything.
The funny part of that, though, was I was like, yeah, it's cool, I'll come back on. And you were like, thank you. I'm like, Joe, it's okay, man. I spent an entire episode being the calm, rational one. It was weird. Anyway, we're going to talk about a lot of things in today's episode. But first, we're going to talk about The War Within, because it is out. We did a lore watch talking about it this weekend, which I think, is it up yet, Joe?
It's on Patreon.
It's on Patreon. So it'll be available about this week at some point.
Hold on.
Yeah, by the time this podcast is out, Lore Watch should also be out for your listening enjoyment.
You can go listen to that. We had a lot of fun talking about the story of the opening of The War Within. We didn't go too deep into it. We didn't talk about that many zones. We just mostly talked about the early stuff, but we did cover some other zones.
Yeah, there's mild spoilers. We mostly talked about our first impressions, our vibe check for the expansion.
Yeah. But in addition to that, which I wanted to point you all to, we're now, both Joe and Liz have 80s already. I only started playing the day before the game actually came out to everybody because of personal things going on in my life. So I'm only level 75. But I so far, I have this to say. Please don't nerf arms. Please don't nerf arms. It is so good. It is so good. Please just let it go. For once in your lives, you black-hearted maniacs, leave arms good for a while. Oh God. I cannot convey to you how much fun I am having leveling arms. Things come up to me and they want to fight me, and sometimes there's a lot of them, and then the next thing you know, literally everything is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't even know what I did. I'm like, what button did I hit? What's the button that makes everything explode? That was pretty interesting. Also, the Colossus hero talent tree is way better than I expected it. Way better. I was kind of meh about this, and now I'm like, this is so good. I think this is the one that was originally Mountain King or something. Not sure.
Was it?
I'm honestly not sure because I haven't even played Prot yet.
Mountain Thane is a different one.
Okay, so we got Colossus, Slayer, and Mountain Thane. Colossus is so good. I cannot convey to you how much I am enjoying this spec. I have 4 other warriors to get to 80 before I will really know all the ins and outs of all these things. But that's why you love me, because I'm a neurotic mess, guys. Regardless, having a blast. We should probably talk really briefly about how the launch went. I didn't play during the launch because so I have before launch, and then I have yesterday and today, yesterday night and today day. So I will first throw it over to Liz, your launch experiences, and then Joe, you pick up.
I really thought it was a smooth launch for early access. There weren't any server problems that I saw. Everything seemed to open up smoothly. I've seen a few hiccups here and there. There are a few bugs. When the servers first started rolling out early access, there was a weird thing where if you hadn't done the introductory Battle for Azeroth quest, that would pop up for you, where Magni is telling you to come to Silithus. And it's like, wait, I was supposed to go to Silithus, but didn't Thrall tell me that? What's Magni talking about now? So there have been a few little things, but I think overall the launch went really smoothly. On the official launch for everyone day on Monday, I didn't see any problems there either. There were some server slowdowns. I know some of my guildmates got kicked offline at certain points, but it wasn't a disaster, which may sound like a low bar, but I just thought it was a really smooth launch. I did not have any problems playing. I have had a lot of fun. I've been going through and reading all the quest text, and It's that's all I can say. It's been really fun, and the launch went perfectly great.
Yeah, I mean, the launch was exceptionally smooth. I was super impressed with it, but I was also impressed with the early access kickover as well. I was logged in, waiting, sitting there, and then literally 5 minutes to the proposed time, the quest kicks on to send you over there, and there was no jitter, there was no crashing of the server, no stuttering, nothing. It was absolutely phenomenal. And then it has been very, from my experience, mostly just perfectly stable. The one that I did have a problem with, and I think some other people did, is there's a one of the delves has I think it's the one with the spiders. No, it wasn't the spiders. It was the one with the mushrooms. I went to go kick it off, and I got stuck between both doors. The one that takes you out of the instance and the one that lets you into the instance. Like, the one that let you in wouldn't let me in. So I actually had to forcibly eject my character from the game, because I had an Alt F4, I couldn't log out, and then log back in, and then it was fixed. That was the only problem I've experienced. The only one. And I thought it was hilarious, because it also let me do things like Hearth out of there and explore parts of the world that I probably shouldn't have been in. So, all in all, good with the bad. But also having a ton of fun. I don't remember the last time I was this hard engaged with an expansion. If we weren't podcasting, I would be playing right now. The fact that I can't play without the audio from the game being picked up while we're podcasting is the only reason I'm not playing it right now while podcasting. But I really enjoy it. And I got my character to 80 relatively quick. I was almost 80 the first night. Just because I had been playing in the beta, I already knew where I wanted to go. But also, it's just good. I wanted to finish the stories. I wanted to find the cinematics. I wanted to do more. I didn't want to go to bed. But I'm old, and I can't do all-nighters anymore, so I had to.
Let me put it to you this way. I have completely cleared the entire Isle of Dorn of every single available quest.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't happened in 2 expansions. We all know I love the lore, and we all know I will eventually come around and do a bunch of these side quests, but there's usually always something I'm I am not doing that. There's a quest that involves fishing poles, and I thought it was going to be that until I realized they'd actually set up ways to get the eels besides fishing.
Yep.
I was like, you are my favorite expansion of all time, The War Within, because you realized I don't effing want to fish. I don't want to do it. My fishing score is 100. I'm never getting it up. I wouldn't even have it that high if you hadn't tricked me. So that was a moment of just absolute bliss as I picked up these poor electric eels off of the ground and killed every crab attempting to stop me, because I could just do it and I didn't have to fish for them. As ridiculous as that is, it was this moment of bliss. I sought out quests to do rather than go anywhere else. There's one thing left to do in the entire Isle of Dorn for my character, who is level 75 and hasn't left the Isle of Dorn yet. I have to go do the first delve with Magni because I did the wrong delve. There's another delve that I did instead, not realizing it was the wrong delve. And then I was done with it. It's the one with the candles. Have you done that one yet? There's a bunch of kobolds and they're do not take candle.
Dark Cleft.
Yeah. I did that one. Then I'm that didn't actually help. I didn't advance the story any. Magni didn't. What's going on, Magni? And then I realized, there's another delve. Oops. So I still have to do that. But literally everything else is done. And I've never. I was hunting for things to do in Dorn. I didn't want to leave it. I didn't want to go underground yet. I'm there's got to be something else to do, because if you're watching the stream, you can see the sky behind me, all those cotton candy looking clouds, and that distant haze, and just it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
This zone is gorgeous. I cannot. If we'd had an entire expansion that was just set on the Isle of Dorn, I think I would probably think it was okay. They'd had to make it bigger, but you know what I mean? So
it's very interesting that you talk about wanting to stay here, because I was certainly very worried about spending the majority of the expansion in a cave I am not a fan of caves. I have been getting lost and stuck in caves since 2004, and I still do it. So, not a big fan of cave. And this is an expansion in a cave, primarily.
Or in a series of caves.
It's a series of caves, and I have had problems where I am in a cave, and then I go in another cave, and then in that cave, there's another cave. And at one point, I died like 3 caves deep into caves, and I had so much trouble finding my corpse again.
I'm literally hearing, like, in the background, it's like, yeah, we heard you don't like caves, so we gave you more caves so you can cave while you cave.
Yeah, but I have to give Blizzard credit because they have made each zone feel like a thriving, unique place. It does not feel claustrophobic. Even when you're 3 caves in, it usually doesn't feel claustrophobic. It's this it's a vast underground landscape, and each zone has a different feeling and flavor. They are extremely unique. When you get to Hallowfall, which is, that's going to be your 3rd zone, it doesn't seem like you're in a cave at all because there's this giant glowing crystal in the sky. It's like sunshine. It's beautiful. You wouldn't even know you're in a cave, except, if you fly far enough, you'll find a cave wall, and you're like, oh, wait, I'm in a cave. When did that happen?
Yeah.
Well, you've been in a cave. You've been in a cave for the last 8 levels, so that's where you are.
They did it. We talked about this on, I think, a little bit on Lore Watch too. They did an exceptionally good job of making you start to question how large the world truly is. And, like, that's a really cool thing, in my opinion. Because, like, we know about the continents and the surface of Azeroth, and we now know that there's more of them, confirmation of what we talked about before, which, that's really cool. But here, it's like, but what about what's underground? But everything is engaging. To Matt's point, I just want to reiterate this because I really, 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 really feel the same way. Everything is just so compelling that at one point, I had to stop leveling in Hollowfall to go elsewhere because there's just so much to do in Hollowfall. I would have been there for, even more time. And I'm going back and I'm doing the quest. Like, I was literally doing that. I had like a half hour between getting home from work and the podcast. So I did that for a little bit. And, like, it's still super satisfying. Even the World Quest events, like, they feel satisfying because they feel dynamic. They actually reminded me, I did the one which was like spreading the flame today, and it reminded me a lot of the old public events from the Warhammer MMO, which were like really, really cool and very dynamic. And I haven't seen any other MMO do in forever. And then I was like, hey, remember this thing that used to happen like 10 years ago, 12 years ago that other people did? We're just going to do that here. Here you go. And it's really well done. It was really enjoyable. So, like, even daily questing or world questing feels like it's going to have some more staying power with me, which is something I do not do. Like, you can ask anybody who's ever gamed with me in WoW. I don't do daily quests. I do not grind rep. I did my time. I'm probably willing to do it here because it doesn't feel boring. It feels engaging while I'm doing it, which is really important. So
let me put it to you this way. There's a quest where I have to reunite 2 really big sheep so that they start smashing their horns together and causing a storm again. And I did it gladly. I did it. I went up to the woods and found one of the sheep who had his feet webbed to the ground, and I successfully killed everything spidery related around him and got his feet unstuck, and then let him take me on an excursion to find his girlfriend. And at no point did I feel like this was a waste of my time. I felt like this is exactly what I, the Defender of Azeroth, should be doing. This sheep needs his girlfriend. That's what I'm feeling right now, is I feel very strongly that this sheep needs his girlfriend.
There's also been at least 4 moments where I've like deadpanned like saying like GD Anne because I know these were Anne moments that I stumbled across. Because Anne, if you're listening, I know you torture us and I know that you do it on purpose, but you do it for good reason and it's hilarious. But like there's been several really good writing moments. There's been a lot of good character growth. Like even on the side quests and the side characters, there's just a lot of engagement, and I'm really like, I'm excited. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm super, super excited to play more, to learn more, to dig more, to find more hidden stuff. And I'm going to shut up and let Liz talk for a while because I've talked a lot already.
It really feels like an expansion of what we saw in Dragonflight. We did see a vast world that encouraged you to explore in every corner, that had a lot of varied and interesting characters in the zone. And I loved that about Dragonflight. And this feels like that, except also more. And that's great. It's kept a lot of the events that we liked. Like, for example, there is the theater troupe on the Isle of Dorn. You can do there. You can go and perform in a show every week. And it's a lot. I mean, we all remember fondly, I think, the play in, I am blanking on the zone name. The play we did. The play we did in Ardenweld.
Yep.
And it's half that, which we all loved, but we could only do once. And it's half like the Tuskar cooking event from Dragonflight.
Yes.
So you go in and it's like, okay, we need to paint some sets. Okay,
it's better soup.
Throw flowers. You need to throw flowers at this dwarven couple. Oh, and it just it's a lot of fun, and it combines things that we are both familiar and new. So it's very interesting. I think it's taken everything good about Dragonflight and moved it forward and made it better. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, and there's all the lead up is really well done too, and I think that's kind of also important. Like, a lot of times you'll get lead up to like big quests that just kind of feels whatevery. It's like, yeah, these are just the filler things while we go and get to the big moment. Okay, whatever. Everything here feels a little more organic, like especially Hollowfell. Hollowfell is a really stupendous like questing experience. And I highly encourage everybody, and I said this on Lore Watch, I'm going to say it here for those of you that don't listen to Lore Watch, do everything, talk to everybody. One of the things that I think is really cool, and we saw a lot more of it last expansion, especially towards the end of the expansion in Dragonflight, was the stay a while and listen moments. But there's so many more of them, and they are so much more fleshed out. And there's a lot more than you would think. Even if a person doesn't have a bubble above their head, click on them. Sometimes you get some really interesting interactions, and it's starting to feel a little bit more RPG-ish than it is MMO-ish, which is a really, really good feat to accomplish. So, take that with a grain of salt as you will, but I really like that. I like that there's more world engagement, that there's more feeling like you're in a living world, even though you're underground in a series of tunnels and or caves.
Many caves.
As much as I think all three of us could probably do this for another 20 minutes, there are other things to talk about, and some of them are actually so I'm going to have to throw these up here. The first one is actually something that actually irritates me quite a bit. In that, in the middle of having fun, they've decided to stop me having as much fun, which was like, no, why are you doing this? Blizzard is nerfing leveling. Specifically, they are making scaling such that it's harder to do and you'll take more damage and so forth. Especially for the early levels. I think the article that Liz wrote, Liz wrote this. The article Liz wrote basically makes the point that they're having the hotfix on August 28th that's going to increase scaling on mobs, particularly lower mobs, to add a bit more challenge. I feel like this is not a good move, but I want to hear you guys talk me about what your thinking is before I throw my reasoning in.
Go ahead, Liz.
The thing is that this is a weird time to do it. So we had early access with this easier leveling experience where, you weren't getting a big challenge, but you got to go through, enjoy the story. Oh no, there's a mob over there. It's trying to kill me. Bam, bam. Okay, it's fine. It wasn't very hard. I've got to admit the leveling has not been a big challenge, and I don't think I'm super overgeared. But so that was in early access, and now we are just a couple of days into the actual launch when people who didn't have early access could play, and Blizzard is like, okay, we're nerfing leveling now. We're going to make it harder to level. It's been too easy to level. You're leveling too fast. So the players who did not pony up to buy early access are now I think they may be very severely penalized in the leveling process because it is going to take them longer. They are not going to have kind of this laid back leveling experience that I did, that Joe did. And that just feels very unfair. when early access was first announced, there was a big concern that this was going to be a pay-for-power system. And Ian Hazekostas went up and said, no, this is just an early, they get a head start on leveling. They aren't going to be able to gear up because heroic dungeons haven't been open. We haven't had weekly quests with those cash rewards. And, I think a lot of people kind of chilled out because Blizzard was like, this is for leveling. They get a little head start, but not much. And now it feels like, well, actually, they got a pretty big head start because I am a notoriously slow leveler. I am a very slow leveler. I got to 80 on Monday, and it feels like we're setting these people back. And I could understand if they nerfed this on like Friday. On Friday, they'd have a little time to collect some data and say, whoa, people are leveling too fast, and like nerfed it. But to wait until early access is over and like a day later say, okay, now we're nerfing it. Just, it feels bad.
I think I agree with you. It feels bad. But I kind of understand maybe where the knee-jerk reaction is coming from. Not that I agree with it, and I want to make sure that's perfectly clear. I think that they shouldn't do this. I think there's a different area that they should be looking at for XP, and I think it's the war bands. Because the problem is you have a mentoring system in place now. And when you get to level 80, your next character gets a 5% buff in that warband as they're leveling through, which makes them level even faster. And the next one is 10%, I think. And then it gets exponentially faster. And with the ease of moving people in and out of warbands, which you can do with the click of a couple buttons, you're always leveling somebody potentially once you hit 380s at 15% extra XP. So instead of... Go ahead.
I do want to throw in one small correction. All characters on your account are in your warband. It doesn't matter if they're in that warband screen. They will get that bonus.
That's even more insane, right? So in my opinion, part of this knee-jerk reaction is because I think they're seeing how many accounts have 80s by yesterday. And even in our guild, and we were talking about this a little bit, our guild, we have several people that have like 2, 3, I think, given the distraction, they might even be working on their 4th 80, like, already. And I know people level insanely fast, and I'm looking at people like Matt Lowe, who, has perfected the art of speed leveling at this point because that's what he likes to do. But that's crazy to me. That's just so fast. And we were leveling fast last expansion. So I think instead of nerfing the initial XP gain, they should be looking at how the warband experience buff and mentoring system works and maybe making adjustments to that. And I think that would be where they should have made the adjustment. So I agree. This is utter horse hockey.
I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear that my opinion is that they shouldn't do it, partially because I only have 75. And I don't want to go from, like today when I logged on and got 2 levels without really trying, to I log on, I spend several grueling hours, and I get a level. One of the things that has been bothering me about World of Warcraft for the past couple of expansions is there's always that period where it feels like I'm hitting a wall. Like where the amount of experience you need per level starts really getting spiky up. It starts getting higher and higher. It's like you're in a trough and then you start trying to power up like you're on a roller coaster. That feeling is not great. It's one that's put me off. Like I had I got 4 alts to 70 in Dragonflight. By my 4th alt, and keep in mind that there were like reputation stuff I was getting and so forth. But by the 4th alt, I was done. I was tired. I had no interest in doing this anymore. I got that 4th alt to 70 out of sheer bloody mindedness. Like I was angry leveling. I don't want to have that experience again. And in the expansion where they've brought in warbands and they've done all they can do to make it feel like you can have whatever character you want, I don't want to suddenly feel like it's a pain to do that. I feel like making it easier to get characters to max level only makes sense when you've made max level so important. Max level is like 85% of every expansion. It's the majority of time you will be spending in the game. It will be at max level. No matter how long it takes you to level, you're going to be at max level content for most of that time. Now, I feel like there's always going to be a dichotomy there because the leveling experience, it's where a lot of content lies. And I mean, we've just got done talking about how good the content has been so far. And I don't want to see them start skimping on that to shove us all into max level. But I also feel like if people want to be able to get to max level in a couple of days, that's acceptable. If 2 days of my time should be enough to get me to max level if that's where I want to spend it. So yeah, I get what they're saying. I understand why they're looking at it. I think Joe is probably more right than even he realizes about the warbands, because I don't think people really grasped that the accelerating pace, once you get a couple characters through, the warband starts acting like a force multiplier on your leveling. I don't think people really grasped just how significant it was. Also, I don't like how they're doing it. I don't like that they're doing it by making it the scaling harder on lower level mobs, because people who are leveling right now are leveling on characters that are, a lot of those people are leveling on characters who are going in with 480 or above gear. The world doesn't drop 480 gear until level 74. So when you are going through on powerful gear that can handle most everything you're going to run into for the first 3 or 4 levels. People who then come in new are not going to have 480 gear, because that came from end game stuff in the previous expansion. They're going to get to level 70. They're going to maybe have 3 something gear, like 380 gear, 370 gear. And they're going to immediately go to the Isle of Dorn and start fighting stuff that's expecting at least item level 400 gear, because that's the gear they drop. And that's gonna hurt. It's like a meat grinder for the undergeared. And I don't think that using people's gear status to slow their leveling is the right approach. You shouldn't be able to buy your way through because you got a legendary while you were doing the Exalted Raid. You know what I'm saying? They're making it so people who just did leveling, or even just did the world event at the end before the expansion launched, can power through, and everybody else is just going to have to desperately hope somebody drops something they can use while trying not to get murdered by a stray kobold. It doesn't. It's so familiar to me as a World of Warcraft player that it feels like it's regressive in this new age of things. So I feel like if you're going to do that, just change the experience amounts. Don't make it so suddenly people are getting their faces kicked in by lower level mobs. Just make it take more XP. If you're really worried about this, go to the root. Don't just start making it so people are like, oh, I died 6 times trying to get those rams to have ram nose love. I don't feel like that's the way to go. But that's just me. You go ahead, Liz.
One other thing I think Blizzard could have done to make this feel a little less painful was to say, we're doing this next reset. Not just say, okay, we're doing this tomorrow, but say we're doing this next reset, which would have given everyone who didn't have early access
a
chance to play for a week and a chance to have a weekend. Because what early access gave you more than anything was a full weekend to play the game. And that's the time most of us have the most hours to play a game. Now, the expansion launched on a Monday. A lot of people, they're working. They got families. They've got adorable pets that need to go to the vet. They have, they have responsibilities. They got to buy groceries.
And not everybody can do that thing especially when you're like at certain ages, you can't just take the week off to play World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
You don't have the vacation days for this.
So a lot of people who just did not rush in on day one, did not have the time to rush in, have lives, responsibilities, things they got to get done during the week. They are never going to see this kind of streamlined, laid back leveling experience that we got to do. And that is a shame. I think just giving, even if you just gave this hotfix a week and let everyone have a chance to level this week, would really even the playing field, no matter how they did it in the end.
Cannot argue with you. However, we do have to talk about some other things, because at this point we've been talking about this for like 20 minutes. So I am going to throw out the fact that we've got Heroic Dungeons went live at launch. So they're live right now. Yeah. And we're getting regular content that went live today, weekly quests, world events, and so forth. So all that stuff is now in.
Yeah. But we are still waiting for a lot of content. Mythic Dungeons and Raids are going live on September 10th. That's with Season 1.
Yeah,
I almost said
Dragonflight. That's like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. We just have a couple of weeks and we're going to have everything live. So a couple of weeks of gearing up, and for some people maybe playing catch up because they didn't level on day 1, and there we are.
Okay, so one thing that we should talk about is Steady Flight, which is, if you don't know, they changed the way flying works. They did a test run for it in Dragonflight with dragon riding, and then they made it universal for all mounts, which looks really weird. It's called dynamic flight, and it looks really weird on some mounts. I have Mimiron's head. Mimiron's head does not look right doing that bomb thing. It's odd. But if you are not good at it, if you're not good at dynamic flight for various reasons, because it does require a certain amount of, I want to say, just facility with it. Steady flight is the old-fashioned flight that we all remember. You get on your mount and you go up, and then you go places. The upside of the new system is that it is more engaging, and it makes you feel like you're actually actively flying your mount.
It is also.
Go ahead, Liz.
It is also so fast. It is just really fast.
It is very, very fast. The downside of it is, I have to go to the bathroom, but I'm in the middle of the air. I'm going to overshoot if I try to miss it. Oh, God. Steady flight, not a problem. I'll just stay up here and I'll go to the bathroom. Steady flight, I don't have great twitch reflexes, so I'm not going to be able to keep this thing in the air, and I'm going to end up having to land in the middle of a pack of like rock monsters, and it's just not ideal. There are reasons why you might prefer steady flight to dynamic flight. And so you have to unlock steady flight. Dynamic flight starts as soon as you get... Go ahead.
I should say you get... It's actually... They changed the name of this several times during its development. It's now skywriting.
Oh, is it skywriting
because
now?
It's skywriting. They changed it. We had all of our posts talking about dynamic flight. We had to go back and change them because Blizzard decided to change the name. Skywriting. But you have it almost immediately. So, on one hand... We've got this, it's like we're always complaining about not getting to fly in an expansion, and here you get to fly,
everywhere.
As soon as you get here.
And you can fly underground.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can fly in these giant caves. But you don't, like I said, there's reasons to prefer steady flight. There are reasons you just might want to just get on a flying mount, point it in a direction, and go. The slowerness, some people that's actually helpful. Because they need to, they need to go do something. They might need to take a phone call, whatever. There's a lot of reasons why you might not necessarily want to get to your place you're going as fast. I used to always get on taxis to go places, the Griffins or Manticores, Wyverns in WoW with their Manticores. Come on. I used to get on them because I could then completely stop paying attention to the game and have a conversation or take a phone call or eat something. Steady flight is still better than skywriting. Oh, God, stop changing the name. It's still better than skywriting for that. It's still an example of you can use it to get out of the game without actually getting out of the game. And I think that I don't know that everybody understands it. It's also a question of like an accessibility option. Not everybody has the same visual acuity. Like your skywriting places, you can go by them so fast. I have had to force myself to become good at making myself spin around a thing several times before I try to land on it, because you're just going. You're especially if you've been doing the thing to make your bar light back up. You're pointing your character a little bit at the ground, and you are moving super fast, and you are hitting buttons at the exact moment to get yourself boosted again, to keep yourself generating more of that resource. Sometimes I just want to get to a place. So yeah,
it's true.
Liz, do you want to talk about how people are unlocking this and like when they can unlock it?
So it doesn't take too much effort to unlock it. There's a Pathfinder achievement, but don't worry, it's not that stressful. You don't have to max out any reputations. You do have to finish the main story quest, beginning to end. You don't have to do anything else. Again, no reputations. And you have to fully explore each zone, which... I'm going to say it would take you a lot longer to do it, but you could do all of that on a ground mount if you just cannot skyride. You could do all of that on a ground mount. It's going to be a lot faster if you don't, but you could do it. There are not like chasms you have to get across. You can walk from zone to zone if that is what you want to do. But those are the only things you have to do to unlock steady flight account-wide, so you can fly just at your normal slow pace. It's also much better for when you're like trying to find a treasure or a rare or an herb and you keep overshooting it. And not that I ever do that. I'm definitely really good at skywriting. super good over here. But one thing I've noticed is that Blizzard has added some things that specifically allow you not to skyride. Like, very early in the expansion, you just landed, you've killed some things, and there's someone who's like, come on, follow me through the sky. And you're like, oh no, do I have to do this? There are like those hoops in the sky you have to go through, like in a dragon riding race. And you're looking up and like, do I have to do this? And, I did it. I went up and I flew and I like missed 2 of the rings and I had to loop back. And I'm like, but actually, you don't have to do it. You can fly after the guy and go through the rings like a skilled dragon rider would. Or there is a griffin who's just sitting by where the quest starts, and you can just click him and he will fly for you. And it's nice. I've noticed little things like that Blizzard has put in that if you aren't good at this, if you don't want to do this, okay, that's cool. Just do this. It's a little slower, but you can do it. You don't have to do this. And I like it.
Joe, you have anything to say on this before we move on?
I like options. Give players options on how they engage in the game, and you have my support. That's really all I can add. I personally don't feel strongly one way or another about the flight, because I switch between the 2 of them as my mood dictates, depending on how fast I want to get places. So, but yeah, I don't really have much more to add that you guys haven't already said.
Shadowlands got legacy loot.
Finally.
And your transmog panic attack announcement. I'm getting myself not to go to Shadowlands until I have an 80. Like, I'm forcing myself, because I was so tempted today. I was like, I could just go see a bunch. No, we don't need Shadowlands gear right this second.
It is very tempting to go and see. Oh, could I solo this? Could I?
I'm
guilty
with a guy named Matt who does videos on YouTube under the name Cranky Tank, and he's really good at soloing on a warrior. I'm just going to wait to see what he can do, and once I've seen what he can do, I can rip it off. That's where I am on this one. But I am curious. But yeah, that's just a straight up. I needed to tell you all about that. I'm so glad Liz put that in here. Also, if you're a hunter, you can now tame stuff in Zandalar, like the weird mummy dinosaurs and zombies and stuff that they had.
And the undead ape from the raid is tameable now too.
Yes.
So yeah,
Which is amazing.
If you're Alliance,
amazing.
It's kind of horrible that you're taming that ape, because that ape was fully sapient in life. That's like taming a Forsaken. Like, imagine you're running around. This is Bo. He's my pet. Let me out of this bondage. It's like that. This is a fully intelligent ape. That ape could talk.
It's even worse than that, because it was a fully intelligent ape, and then there's this whole sad, tragic quest line where you've made this ape super intelligent, but then the ape volunteers to get made into a giant ape who will not be super intelligent in order to help the Alliance smash things.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and now we're turning him into a zombie, and now we're enslaving him forever.
Yeah.
Well,
it's messed up.
To be fair,
the wasn't messed up.
That whole thing, like, you can only get him as a zombie if you're Alliance. So,
Yeah. It's true. That's kind of even worse.
Yeah. Although I did see a hunter dressed as Mario running around with the him, like, and it just seemed perfect.
But yeah, so that's happening. I don't know. I guess we should talk about this cross-faction queuing thing, because we don't know when that's happening, and we don't know what we know the restrictions. They've told us the limitations they're going to put on it, but we don't know when they're going to finally get around to adding it. They just said it's in a future patch.
Well, they've got a lot of gotchas.
It is in the War Within. It's a future War Within patch. So that does narrow it down a little, and it's a good change. It is not as good of a change as I was hoping for, but it's still going to be good.
Yeah, that's fair, but who wants to read all the gotchas? Joe?
I mean, I don't think they tell us all the gotchas. They just mention that there's a bunch of them, right? So there's... Go ahead, Liz.
I mean, the thing is, you can queue for things, but you will need a full group to do it. That's the big gotcha.
Well, that's the caveat. Well, that's not the gotcha for implementation. That's the caveat or the restriction for the queuing.
Yes. So I mean, from our end as players, that's the big problem. That's the big snag. You need a full group. And that's because Blizzard doesn't want to force this cross-faction stuff on anyone who isn't 2 isn't into it. For people who are like hardcore Horde or hardcore Alliance, they can keep doing that without having to play with the opposite faction. So because of that, you can't be a Horde character playing with an Alliance character and you want to run a dungeon together and you can just queue for that dungeon. You can't do that.
It's a shame they can't
be able to do that.
It's a shame they can't have something where they like have cross faction and non cross faction as separate queues. That'd be
just
weird.
Make a checkbox.
Yeah,
make a checkbox.
I do not want to be queued with the opposite faction. We're done.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are technical hurdles.
Yeah, I was just going to
say.
There's
always technical hurdles. There's technical hurdles for everything. Yeah. There were technical hurdles for giving us skywriting, but they still gave us skywriting. So obviously you can satisfy a technical hurdle if it's compelling to you. I feel like in this case, they just don't feel like it's compelling.
Well,
it's not worth the effort. Let's put it that way.
Also, one of the things they've been doing with cross-faction stuff is rolling it out very slowly, step at a time. They'll do one thing and then, kind of wait, let it sit, and then do another thing.
Welcome to 3 expansions worth of transmog development. So yeah, I am familiar with their technique here.
This is good. Basically, what it will let you do is it will let cross-faction groups do things like time walking, which was previously impossible because time walking is an activity that you can only queue for. And even if you had a full group, a party ready to go in, you could not do that cross-faction because they couldn't queue together. So now you'll be able to do that if you have a full group. You won't be able to fill your group that way, but if you have a full group, you can do that.
Yeah, it's a step. It's a step in the right direction. It gives us something which is better than nothing. I'm very excited for it because as one of the few Alliance characters in my Horde guild, I kind of get left out on some of that stuff. So
what Alliance guild are you in?
I'm in a Horde guild.
You can't answer that on the show. No, but your Alliance character, are they even in a guild?
Yeah. I'm in the guild.
Oh, I didn't realize you could do that.
Cross-faction guilds are a thing.
Guilds are cross-faction as of pre-patch. Yeah?
Oh, okay. You guys didn't invite me to the guild.
Oh, as of guilds have been cross-faction for longer than that because I've been a Dark Guardian since the last.
It's cross-server went in with the pre-patch, and
correct.
Now we have yes, and cross-faction was earlier, sometime at late Dragonflight.
Yeah, because
you're not focusing enough on my problem, which is that you didn't ask me.
Do you want to join our guild, Matt?
I mean, I honestly wouldn't mind having a character in your guild just so occasionally I can hang out. I have characters all over the freaking place, so it's like, God, I'd like to know where people are. But for now, let's just talk about other things because I get embarrassed when people call me on my BS. Should we talk about the Twitch drops and the non-Twitch drop? But it's just, okay. First up, there's the Ghost Pony and some other pony. Like there's 2 horses you can get from. This is the Twitch one, I think.
Twitch drops. It is a ghastly charger.
Yeah.
Which is indeed a ghost phony.
And then there's the Watcher of the Huntress, which is you basically have to support a streamer, right? That's the support a streamer one?
So the Ghost Pony, just watch WoW on Twitch for 4 hours. The Huntress, which is a ghost owl who may or may not be ready, may or may not be about to peck your eyes out. I don't know. You have to... I totally blanked. You have to support a streamer. Yes. Yeah. So you have to subscribe or gift a sub for a streamer. So both very cool. Ghastly Charger, very, very cool. And you can get it right now.
Yeah. So that's cool. You can also kidnap an ogre baby if you stream on Discord. I do not understand this little tiny ogre baby looks absolutely horrified. Its mouth is wide open and this gaping like frown of it's like, did I just kill its mom in front of it or something? What is with this guy's face? But regardless, you can get this tiny baby ogre who really does not look like he's into it through Discord streaming. Like if you are streaming Discord, not if you are watching people, you would have to actually be streaming.
Yeah, and you just have to stream for 15 minutes.
So I could have earned it already. I could have already earned this pet.
At least one person has to be watching you stream. That's the only hard part. But, jump on Discord. You could jump on Blizzard Watch Discord, say, hey, I want to kidnap this adorable baby ogre. Will somebody help me? And then you could stream for 15 minutes, and there are going to be people in chat who will watch you.
Yeah, but people are watching us right now. I could have done this already. Do you understand that I could have done this already? I could already have enslaved this poor little ogre baby.
I had not considered that we were enslaving a baby ogre until Matt said that, but now, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, and he does look a little horrified. So I'm sorry, baby ogre. Maybe he was an orphan and we're adopting him. Maybe we're helping.
He'll have a better life with us anyway. Come on, at least we'll teach him not to take dumps on the ground and leave it there. Like every time I go to an ogre place, like Dire Mall had poop on the ground constantly. I'm like, why are you doing this? You know not to do this. Refuse to believe even the Horde would not teach you. Even the old Horde doesn't want to step in that. Come on. But anyway, yeah. Joe isn't talking, so I assume he's fully on board with kidnapping.
100%.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with this. I think it was in fact Anne who once said that if anybody ever needs to get anybody to do anything in World of Warcraft, tell them there's a pet. It doesn't matter. It's like you could have had the entire Argent tournament just be about pets.
A pet or a hat. A hat.
Pet or a hat, and people will just come running. So, yeah. But, okay, that's pretty much, it what we had for the War Within / World of Warcraft. Got enough time, so I'm going to say, got some some Diablo 4 stuff to talk about. Overwatch 2, we do not. Actually, there's an NA there. We got some new information about the Mercenaries. Yeah. Basically, it's more like Diablo 3's Mercenaries than we thought. They've got unique characters and storylines and so forth. So it's not just purely like Diablo 2 Mercenaries. These are actual characters that you could get to know. Granted, if you've watched the video, I don't know if I want to know all of them. There's that barbarian lady who looks like I don't want to know her.
The barbarian lady is also a former cannibal who left her cannibal clan for reasons I am not clear on.
I don't care.
I'm a little
move
concerned.
On that. Yeah.
It's like, but did you walk away from the cannibal thing? I don't know.
Did you just leave the clan or did you leave cannibalism? I need you to tell me you left cannibalism too. If you still are cannibal, I want to introduce you to like Warcraft 3 trolls and why we made that clear. Okay? Because I cannot trust you to guard me while I'm sleeping if you eat people. Just a thing. But I do still think it's a good move to make them more like the Diablo 3 Mercenaries, because the Diablo 3 Mercenaries, I mean, I still remember fondly all the times I razzed Cormac about his love for the Enchantress. And quite frankly, I was actually super happy to see the scoundrel in Diablo 4. I liked getting to see him again. Yeah. I liked that character. So yeah, I think this is a good move. I would actually kind of like it if they expanded it. Maybe later on brought in some other characters that we might want to see again.
That would be cool. Another thing is each of these mercenaries has a talent tree you can fill out to customize their playstyle in a way that complements yours. And you can also set them up to be a reinforcement. So like you cast a skill and then it calls in the mercenary instead of having them around all the time. You cast a skill and it calls in the mercenary to do something cool and, kill all of these demons around you, supposedly.
So it's basically they do an emergency super move to help you out.
Yeah. So
it reminds me a little bit of the end of Legion, where you had that follower and you could set the follower to show up all the time or to show up for a specific thing.
It's exactly like that. Cool. It's exactly like that. You also, there's a reputation you can earn with them called rapport. That when you earn rapport, that's when you get skill points to power them up and customize their play. So this is a whole system. It's not just, hey, you can hire a minion now. It's like we've got these unique characters. They've got their own talent trees. They've got their own reputation system. And I think it sounds neat. Unless the reputation system turns to be a headache to level up. But
a nightmare grind.
I hope it's not a nightmare grind. Diablo already has a lot of nightmare grinds, and they've been getting better, so I hope it'll be good. It sounds really interesting, though.
There's also apparently a party finder coming?
Party finder's coming with Vessel of Hatred. We don't have a ton of details on Party Finder, except, this is the sort of thing that's going to be necessary for this Dark Citadel PvE thing they're going to be adding.
Yeah, the kind of raid thing they're building. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really Dark Citadel is kind of a mini raid. There are puzzles, you need to work cooperatively, you can't just run ahead in a nightmare dungeon and kill everything while someone idles at the beginning. You've got to work together to do this stuff. And of course, you could form groups in Diablo 4 already, but it's like, okay, I'm yelling, saying, hey, you want a group for Lilith? And I'm doing that until someone messages me. It's an actual group finder tool. So you can make groups, you can invite people to groups without just having to sit and chat. So I am into it. I am particularly into it because I play on PlayStation. And it is really hard to type messages. It is like a 12-step process to type a message.
Yeah, no, I play on Xbox, and I have the exact same problem. It's like, oh my word.
If you ever see me in Diablo 4 and I do not talk to you, it is not because I dislike you. It is because I'm not going through the 12-step process to type a message to you. I'm sorry.
I've got like an actual little keyboard on my controller.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it's like, I have a keyboard, but it's like my thumb is 5 buttons across. I don't think you understand how hard this is for me to actually type on. I'm not doing the whole long thing. That's just not happening.
The thing is, I think it's a restriction from the game. The game does not allow you to use a keyboard input in the console version of the game.
Yeah, no, you can't plug a keyboard directly in.
Well, I mean, I have a keyboard that connects to my PlayStation, but
it won't accept
play the game with it.
No, Diablo 4 will not accept
it. So if you want to type something in Diablo 4 and you're on a console controller, you have to bring up the menu, you have to open the chat, you have to select the chat input box and click on it until it makes, a keyboard pop up on your screen.
And when that keyboard is up,
but when that keyboard is up, I can use the keyboard to type.
It's still a lot of work.
Except then you have to go back to the controller and use that to select that you're done typing and you want to send your message. So it really is, it's a lot of steps. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it.
No, it is definitely a good move to have something other than that. Last thing, and then we will move on to something else. Campfire chat later this week, and we don't know what it's going to be, but I mean, the new expansion is coming in a couple months.
I assume new expansion, maybe they're going to give us even more details on Mercenaries or Dark Citadel. But I'm really not sure. Maybe they're going to talk about Season 6. We're only about a month away from Season 6. Crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot that they could talk about. So
and we don't know what. I'm not sure.
But finally, because Liz actually asked this question, she was like, anyone have anything to talk about from Gamescom? Anything you're interested and excited about? There's obviously Date Everything, and Date Everything is the best game show. That's the article we have.
Yes.
So I want you guys to talk about Date Everything because I didn't hear about them. I just completely missed it.
It's right there in the name. You are a person and you live in a house and you can date everything. Everything in your home is dateable. And they're all, so it's like
this. Just stop for a second because I have to mention this. Do you guys know the voice actor who does ProZD on YouTube?
Yeah.
No.
He's actually really funny. He does a thing where he actually has a dating sim where the character is in love with her television and trying to get all the other appliances in the house to stop talking to her so she can chat up the refrigerator. I mean,
now it's canonical.
Now you can just play that game. So yeah, go ahead. Tell me more.
If you want the rubber ducky in the tub, the towel in the bathroom, the hangers in the closet, all of them are unique characters that are fully voice acted by real professional voice actors.
One of them is ProZD, by the way, in the game.
I figured he had to be involved in this in some way.
There are over 100 different things in your house that you can date, or if you don't want to date them, you can make friends with them, or you can become their darkest enemy because you can't get along with everyone, right? Nah. That's it. That's the game. It's coming out in October. I think I have that right. It's gonna be great.
Okay.
I've already asked Anna to write a post on everything you can date in Date Everything, and she seems to think that I may be joking about this or that it would be just a really long, excessive post to write. But also, I mean,
it could also be just that she thinks it's going to be like the Gary Oldman clip from Leon, aka the Assassin, where you literally just have Gary Oldman go, "Get everything!" If you can date everything, that's everything. Just if it's in the game, you can date it. It's true. Don't feel like there's what more do you want me to tell you? So it could be that. Joe, do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, I love dating sims. This is an instant purchase for me. Like zero, there is a 0% chance that I do not enjoy this game.
My problem is I have like about 30 games I want to talk about.
That is the problem, yes.
So,
and of course, we've had the Star Wars Outlaws. Apparently, it seems like a review embargo has come up because a lot of people are talking about it.
oh yeah,
this
it's up.
week.
You can review it now.
Uh-huh.
I've seen 2 reviews of it so far. One was exceedingly negative. The other was fairly positive. So, who knows? But both of these reviews make me think that it is just Assassin's Creed Odyssey in Star Wars. And
Yeah,
you'd think I'd be like super excited about that because Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of my favorite games. But I don't know that I'm going to like the protagonist as much as I did Cassandra. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm just waiting to see how likable the protagonist is.
It'd be hard. It'd be hard to do better than Cassandra.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's that game. There's the new Indiana Jones game. There's go ahead.
And all of these are coming out in such a short period of time. We have Diablo 4 expansion at October 8th. We've got War Within Season 1, September 10th. We've got Date Everything, which I think is late October. We've got Dragon Age The Veilguard, October 31st. I believe that Star Wars Outlaws, is that August? It's really soon.
It's in the 30th. It is this month.
So Outlaws, just a few days. Indiana Jones releasing in December. It's like, where am I gonna find time to play all of these games? I don't know.
Well,
but I'm probably just gonna be dating everything. I'm gonna be like checked out, dating everything.
Yeah. For me, it's either Avowed, which is coming in February of next year.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about that because I love the Pillars of Eternity games and it's set in the same world. Plus, it's now officially not a prequel. It's a sequel. It is a sequel to the last Pillars of Eternity games, which means you get to find out what happened in the Pillars of Eternity games after they happened. Like the end of Pillars of Eternity 2 was this giant change that affected the whole world. Now you get to see what happened next. So that's cool. I am super excited about that. However, the one I'm probably most excited about is the weird Cthulhu-like expansion for Starfield, Shattered Space, which is literally go check out House of Veyruun, and which is basically being described as all the weird Lovecraft stuff from Fallout 4 as an expansion to Starfield. I am ludicrously excited for I cannot tell you how excited I am for it. I want this to come out so bad. Like it's next month. It's the end of next month, and I'm twitching, wanting to play this because I think that it basically. First off, Starfield's like in a really, really good place now. I think Bethesda made the same mistake they always made and felt we can drop this game half done, and then finish it on the way. But they've been adding stuff like content to worlds. They've been adding in. They added in a vehicle that's actually just out now. You can finally get a vehicle in a Bethesda game. Can you imagine if you could get a car in any of the Fallout games? Like seriously, you can get a car in Fallout 4, you get a car in Fallout New Vegas. Imagine how different your life would be. And you could get a car in the original Fallout. So that's what really messed with my head. Like, why can't, I don't even need a car in this game. Why do I, you won't let me have it in the one where it would be helpful. So yeah, they've done that. But Shattered Space I'm super into because it's kind of like taking all the space horror stuff and making that an expansion to their weird, like super upbeat looking space game. Like they made this space game that was almost utopian and like it's almost like the Federation, and then they throw in the horror expansion. So I'm super excited for that. I want to see what that is. I know a lot of people don't like Starfield, and I don't blame you guys if you don't like it. If you didn't like it at launch, you haven't wanted to give it a chance since, cool. Quite frankly, Bethesda earned every bit of people's doubt about them with Fallout 76. The Fallout 76 launch was so bad that I get it. I get being just incapable of trusting them. But for me, I liked Starfield, and I'm super excited about A Shattered Space. I really think that some of the best stuff they ever did in other games was their weird horror stuff. But I guess that's pretty much. Joe didn't have anything else, and you guys are doing the dating sim, which I'm now sitting here going, I don't do dating sims that much. Do I really want to date everything? But I'm concerned. Maybe. I feel like I don't want to skip this. I want to see this because my God, how everything is everything. And Ray Chase, who was Cyclops in X-Men 97, apparently is voicing things in this.
Yeah.
I want so bad to date Cyclops as a toaster. I am.
Well,
so
now's your
interested.
opportunity, Matt.
Well, maybe we don't know who's voicing what.
There's only one way to find out, Matt.
Yeah, wait till somebody puts it on YouTube. I understand that, but I might want to play it anyway, just because it is kind of nuts, and I do think that that's kind of cool. I like when something really weird gets out there. It's like when Boyfriend Dungeon came out.
I mean, I have it literally sitting in Steam. Like we talked about this. I love dating sims. I think they're one of the best game genres that ever existed.
As long as they're not the kind of thing where it's just give them things till they like you.
Yes.
You mean like every BioWare game with relationships?
Yes. Although not the last Mass Effect.
Okay. They did get more complicated and more character driven over time, but some of the earlier ones,
Origins,
that was just
it was literally just
stuff.
Get feast day presents and let's just get this over with. And the worst part was that it worked on Morrigan, who should absolutely have been offended at you for trying to buy her with feast day gifts. I think it would have been great if the only character that started to hate you was Morrigan. Like you give her feast day gifts and she just hates you. She's like hating you more and more with every gift. But regardless, what else we got? We got a bunch of questions and I don't think we have time to get to any of them.
We are over. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll do those next week. It's like at this point, Liz and I are playing hot potato with the questions, seeing who's going to have to answer these. Who's going to have to.
Hey, it happens sometimes.
But regardless,
I'm going to do the thing now because Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast site and community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, better chance of having your question answered on our podcast with Q&A and ads reset experience.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you to Liz for doing this week's document so I could not do it because I was really distracted playing The War Within, quite frankly, and with other stuff. But I honestly, Liz asked, like, are you going to do that? And I was like, oh my God, it's Tuesday. I have been playing this game all day. I've completely forgot. So thank you to you both for that. Thank you to everybody who's listening for listening with us. I'm only sorry that we couldn't talk about The War Within for another hour. Because I think we actually have a ton more to talk about.
It'd be easy. Yeah, it'd be easy. We can talk more next week.
On hopes. But thank you guys for being here. This has been the Blizzard Watch podcast. And we'll be back next week.